Hello, 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 everybody. I'm Pedro.
And I'm Meredith.
And this is Gritty Reboot. You don't know, but behind the scenes, Meredith was in a race against a glass of water right now to finish it so she could say her name at the proper time.
Yeah.
She got the chug in just perfectly, and she's mad that I gave away the inside baseball on that.
Whatever.
All right, today we are finishing off 2020, waving it goodbye. 2023, I went way too far back. My apologies.
Please
2023.
No. I never want to experience 2020 ever.
Yeah, I know. 2023 wasn't a picnic either. But there were some great movies, and we are recognizing that this week. We're taking a look at what is both of our top fives for the year. And we took a little extra time to get this episode out. Sorry it's up late, guys, but it's just the way it's been. It takes a little extra time to watch these.
Especially the good movies.
Well, I think one of the issues
They're
is
always
that
like 2.5 hours.
they're very long. And the other issue, at least in my opinion, is that all these movies just get pushed right at the end of December.
Yeah.
So
I want to get ready for the award ceremony.
Exactly. So it leaves us with a lot of movies to watch with a lot of the other things that we're doing. So sometimes a lot of these movies get left by the wayside. I know this happened last year where I saw a couple movies afterwards and I was like, oh, that might have made my list. And that could be the way this year. You know, we're just, you know, we're not professional film critics. We're just podcasters. So we don't get to everything. We try to, but I know we both wanted to see Zone of Interest and we were unable to.
Yeah, that was one I really wanted to see.
Yeah, it was just too difficult for us to try to make the hike out to the Angelica just to go see that movie with our schedules over the last 2 weeks.
We'll see it eventually.
Yeah, we certainly will. We certainly will. And it's just one of the things we just didn't get a chance to it. So.
I had to travel last week, so there were some movies that I wanted to see that you got to see that I didn't.
Mm.
So
I think there are two movies that I saw that you did not that made my list. And I have to be very careful about how I speak with them because I don't want to spoil you.
Yeah.
But I feel more confident about it because I went back and I watched, as I often do, old Ebert and Roper episodes, Siskel and Ebert, and I watched some of their tops of the year. And they're very, very careful about what they give away about the plot and everything like that. And I know that's how I'm going to be about when we talk about some of those movies that you didn't get a chance to watch. I don't want to give too much away. And I don't want to get too necessarily descriptive because there's a chance you're just going to be stumbling upon these movies here as you roll into March and the rest of the year and everything like that and finally get a chance to sit down and watch, you know, things like Well, most people have seen Oppenheimer. That's not a great example, but like American Fiction or Saltburn. Saltburn's on Prime, so maybe they get to it, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't have Prime. Who cares?
Yep.
So, all right. With that, I wanted to say one thing. Obviously, we're laying on top five. Like I said, we don't see everything. But if you have any problems with our order or anything like that, please let us know. Shoot us an email, grittyrebootcast@gmail.com, or simply search Gritty Reboot at Instagram and at TikTok. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of us. If you need to ask us a question or take a look at any of our content, we got lots of fun clips on there and occasional little side stuff that we do, little reviews and stuff like that. I just made a little video talking about Ruth Ware's In a Dark, Dark Wood the other day. And I just got done reading that book, and reading in between two Grady Hendrix's books didn't do Miss Ruth Ware any favors, because I think Grady Hendrix is a much stronger writer than she is.
Yeah, it happens that way sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it can be that way. But with that, let us begin the list, and I will start with my number 5.
My name is Miles Morales. I'm Brooklyn's one and only Spider-Man. And things are going great.
Oh, yeah. You were supposed to be here at 5.
All right, whatever.
So I went with Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to represent this movie because I absolutely loved it. And very rarely can a film, and this is a spoiler as I'll get with, even though I think most people have seen it. It's been on Netflix for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely can a film end with a to be continued. And I can just be like, okay, I'm fine with that. And that's a testament to the level of storytelling that's in this film.
Yeah.
Is
good number 5.
Yeah. No, that's why I really wonder, because we have a few of the same picks here on our top 5. It just was that kind of year. But I think this movie really deserves recognition. This is really one of the best animated films of all time.
Mm-hmm.
These two movies of the Spider-Verse are the two best Spider-Man movies. You can throw Spider-Man 2 for Tobey Maguire somewhere in there. I don't think any of the MCU movies quite reach these kind of heights, but you know, these are the best of the comic book genre. It really has to offer, and this sequel just left me excited for what's coming up next. I really don't know how much more I can really leap praise upon the movie, from the performances, animation. You know, the animation I think is really great. You know, it has a different style. I think Pixar was so successful they homogenized the entire animated world. Did. and everybody kind of had that Pixar look. And this movie doesn't have that. It very much has a comic style look, and I dig it. I still enjoy it. We got a chance to see this on IMAX, and it looked great. And then, of course, we saw it here a couple times at home. It's just a great film. I haven't seen it as many times as I saw the original because my daughter was obsessed with the original movie.
Yeah.
And now she's just obsessed with Roblox, so it doesn't matter. But it really is a fantastic cinematic achievement.
Yeah.
I had to talk about it. It's just one of those things I want to get off my chest. It's a great movie, and I always like to throw a Hollywood film. Last year, my number 5 pick, I threw in Jackass because I thought the film deserved some recognition, and I know it bothered you immensely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this spot was almost Skinamarink. It was almost Skinamarink.
Yeah, which I consider the worst movie.
But no, Skinamarink was, I only would have put that on the list to annoy. All right, you ready to move on?
Sure.
Did you know there was a college Christmas party tonight? NFI, me and you, not fucking invited.
You alright?
Yeah, I've got a flat tire.
Take my bike.
Hey, that is so kind. Thank you. I'm sorry I don't know your name. I'm Felix.
Oliver.
Oliver. Oliver, I love you. I love you.
So at number 5, you went with Saltburn.
Yes, I loved this movie. It was a lot of fun. It was a wild ride.
Yeah, I think it has its twists and turns. This movie came up empty in awards season, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie.
It's a shame. It was so good. There's something that happens that made my toes curl.
Yeah.
Very disgusting.
Listen, there's a motherfucker in this movie. He loves him some bathwater. That's all I'll say. All right.
Ugh.
And
something else.
Yeah, and there's Barry Keoghan's character. I think is very well played. The lengths he's willing to go to play this game,
Yeah.
I think are very impressive. This movie's twists and its turns are really entertaining. I think this is an entertaining, if albeit long, film full of really nice performances, incredible cinematography.
I always liked the movie The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
And there's a level of intrigue that you find in that movie as well.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. And I really enjoy that about the movie. The acting is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The main character, the one that loves the bathwater, he's great.
Chilling. Yeah. Well, yeah, sort of his transformation, right?
Yeah.
Who we think he is supposed to be to who he really is when we find out. But like I said, this was a movie I enjoyed. This is a movie in my top 10. It didn't quite make the top 5, but this was in my top 10. I can't argue with this pick. I think it's a good choice.
I think it's rewatchable too.
I don't know. We will see. I don't know how many of these movies I'll ever watch again. I talked about that last year. We don't know how many of those movies that we watched. Now, like the ones that are big hits, we'll watch again. I'm sure back in 1995 or 6 when people made their lists and they had Shawshank Redemption on it, they didn't know they ended up watching that movie like 300 times.
I don't know. I think everybody on my list is something I would rewatch again, with the exception of maybe Oppenheimer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
right.
How did you come to write this book?
What really struck me was that too few books were about my people. Where are our stories? Where's our representation?
Would you give us the pleasure of reading an excerpt?
Yo, Sharonda, girl, you be pregnant again? If I is, Ray Ray is gonna be a real father this time around.
So for my number 4 pick, I went with American Fiction. And this is one that I got to see that you didn't get a chance
I wanted
to.
see it.
Let's straight up right now. I hate this corporate woke
Editors, they want a black book.
They have a black book.
agenda that's in a lot of these Hollywood films. Like they just sort of have this mandate that we have to hit like these woke points. And so like a corporation, they set their AI to like hit these points in the script. And sometimes it can be the cringiest and worst parts of these movies.
Yeah.
So to get a racial comedy that doesn't necessarily play it safe. And last week we talked about a racial comedy that I thought was all misfires in that Eddie Murphy film.
Movie.
Yeah, I thought that was all misfires. And this is the same genre, but they couldn't be in different leagues. Couldn't be in more different leagues than they are. Because American Fiction really is an incredibly smart movie about how race really works in the literary world. It's about something that's a little not quite as broad as just culture in general. And with it, I think it delivers really biting satire for how we are portrayed in the media, how people portray themselves in the media. And it has a lot of great things to say. It's a movie that I almost had a smile on my face throughout the entire runtime of this film, if not just chuckling or straight times just belly laughing.
Yeah.
Like, this is a very funny film. And sometimes it does some things that are truly outrageous. Jeffrey Rush is a great performance. It's not Jeffrey Rush. That's the wrong actor. That's the guy. That's the guy from Shine and Barbosa. That is not the actor that I'm speaking of. I'm, of course, talking of, and I'm not stalling for time at all. I'm talking about Jeffrey Wright. He's great in the movie, as is most of this cast. I don't want to give too much away about it, but it's not necessarily like a spoiler film. He's not dead the entire time or anything like that. It's not that kind of movie. But this is one you really need to check out for yourself. Like, I'm a more liberal guy, so I'm open to, obviously, things I guess people would consider more woke. But like when a corporation just kind of shoves it down my throat so they can hit that checkbox, it really bothers me. And this wasn't that kind of movie at all. I think I talked about a few weeks ago, like the Avengers Endgame. There's like near the end of the movie, like all the girls come together for like a girl power scene.
Yeah.
It was brilliantly lampooned in The Boys. And I think like that's a really good example of that. Like you'll see that every now and then, just like, oh, we need to throw in a black character. Or let's make sure we have, this is a lesbian character. Let's not say it, but she's a lesbian, Little things like Disney was really infamous for that. Like how many times did they say this is the first gay character in a Disney so-and-so, right?
Yeah.
Like they milk the hell out of that. And that's sort of what I'm talking about. This movie does a really great job, really satirizing race in America, especially within like media. So I enjoy the hell out of it. I can't wait for you to see it.
Yeah. Would you rewatch it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd rewatch this film. And I already have rewatched Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah.
So that's, yes, Spider-Verse is going to get watched 200 times. It's just the way it is. All right, you ready for number 4? And I agree with you. I probably won't rewatch this movie for a while. I probably will rewatch it, but it will be sometime.
Yeah.
This is a national emergency.
Detonator charged.
What can you say about Cillian Murphy? That hasn't already been said.
Yeah, so he's great in this.
He's
so this is Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, in case you hadn't figured that out from the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very strange thing that occurred this year. And obviously everybody knows it, but if you're listening to this podcast in like 10 years, and God help you if you are, but there was the Barbenheimer thing that happened this year.
Yeah.
And Christopher Nolan, he left Warner Brothers to go work for another studio that was going to let him do what he wanted. And Warner Brothers, being butthurt kind of bitches, they put Barbie to open up the same day as Oppenheimer did. And instead of crushing Oppenheimer, it became this fused together cultural event.
Yeah.
And these things rarely happen because there's not really much of a monoculture, but this sort of transcended all of those things. And Barbenheimer became a thing. I think Oppenheimer almost made $1 billion. Barbie did make $1 billion. That's incredible for a 3-hour film. I do not believe it's one of Nolan's best, but it is an incredible film.
Yeah, it's an incredible movie. It's got incredible acting, but you would expect that out of a movie of caliber like this. It's got an interesting story it tries to tell with the whole story of Oppenheimer and what happened there.
Well, it's a biopic done right, in my opinion, and you want to keep it somewhat focused. It is 3 hours, so that helps. But they do keep it somewhat focused.
Mm-hmm. You got an Einstein cameo.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
They brought Einstein back from the dead himself.
They did.
He shows up. It's a well done film. Like I said, this probably wouldn't make my top 10, but it'd be close,
Yeah.
But it is Nolan, and this is him almost at the peak of his craft. I still say Dunkirk is his best film.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I still say Dunkirk is, and this isn't quite as good as that movie, but I think for everything that occurred with this movie this year and what a massive hit it was, I'm glad it is something we're going to talk about as one of the best of 2023.
It's a good Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
What can I say?
That's, I believe, all you can say. All right, so now we're on to number 3, and we're going to have a joined together number 3 here because we have the same movie picked. And, when Martin Scorsese does it, that's the kind of thing that happens.
Yeah. It's going to be sad when he dies.
Well, you always got to take it there. Every time we talk about an older director.
It's just because I'm worried, I won't be able to see any more movies out of him.
Well, we got one more.
Color.
And he's already working on something else.
Yeah.
Scorsese.
This movie is way too damn long.
So this is a bit of a ditto with the last movie in that Scorsese's great, but this isn't one of Scorsese's best films.
Yeah.
It's not. It is. And one day we'll rank the Scorsese movies, but not today. But this is certainly one of his better movies, but not up there with his best ones. But it's okay. I don't think The Departed is one of his best movies, and he won an Academy Award for that.
How could you not?
I just don't. I think he's covered some of that ground a little bit better. It's also one of the few times he's ever done a remake. So I just don't think it's his best work. I think like Taxi Driver, that's the shit. Mean Streets, Raging Bull, like one of those
older movies.
Yeah, and all those should have won an Academy Award. I think Wolf of Wall Street should have won an Academy Award. I think that's Scorsese at his best.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, that's Scorsese at his best right there. Yeah, because he does something a little different. I think that's DiCaprio's best performance. But we're not talking about that movie. We're talking about Killers of the Flower Moon, which is.
I didn't think that this was one of his best movies, but as far as the movies that we saw in 2023 as the best movies, it was up there.
I certainly agree. Once again, you are seeing a Scorsese film, so you're getting all the hallmarks. You're getting Robert De Niro and we're getting DiCaprio together, and they're electric together.
Mm-hmm.
That is just a given, really. They play off each other so well. And this movie, even though this movie I think is very long, it's paced fairly well. Except for, I think, somewhere in the middle, the movie kind of sags a little bit before it kind of gets going again when the investigation begins. And then the movie sort of kicks it right into high gear. And with it, it does sit among Scorsese's crime capers and things like that. Movies like Casino, even though it is a very different take on it. We're used to mobsters and everything like that. And that's not necessarily the kind of story that we're being given.
It has mobsters in it.
To some extent, yeah.
Different type of mobsters in a way. Old school, like oil barons and stuff.
That is the way to look at it. And this is really a great adaptation of, these murders where you had people trying to breed and kill out these Indian landowners who happen to have all this oil money.
Yeah.
And the way it's handled and the way it's done, it really is an engaging watch. And I had just listened to a podcast early in the year about it when I heard that's what the Scorsese movie was going to be about. So I wanted to familiarize myself with it. And I think he did a really great job sort of adapting what the story was and everything like that.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I've never heard of it. And I love stories like that.
Yeah, and obviously he took some liberties here and there, but I think it's a great adaptation of it. And once again, I think it's just an enthralling film, beautifully photographed. Once again, Scorsese shooting on 35 millimeter film, looks great. We watched that in like 4K HDR. It really is a truly amazing cinematic experience. It's always a great year we can get a top Scorsese film, and this is really a movie that I think is going to be on everybody's top 10 list.
Do you think it's going to be his last?
No.
Do you think he'll make one more?
Yeah. I think Scorsese will probably live till he's in his 80s.
How old is he now?
I don't know.
I thought he was like in his 80s.
He's 80.
Oh, wow.
He's 80. I think he'll live further into his 80s. I think he can give us one more.
God, I hope so.
I think he gives us one more.
So.
God, you're always worried. Every moment one of these guys is going to die. That's what your top concern is. All right, then moving on. And even though we just had a combined number 3, we have a combined number 2 as well.
There's a word in Korean, 인연. It means providence or fate.
Do you believe in that?
That's just something Koreans say to seduce someone.
What a good story this is.
So this is Past Lives. Man, this was, I fought so hard with myself about this being number 1. And when you put it at number 2, I realized what I had to do, what movie needed to be at number 1 for myself. But this is a movie I will probably rewatch. And I feel like in 10 years, I'll look back and be like, why didn't I make that my favorite movie of that year? Like, I feel like this will be like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind for me.
Yeah.
A movie like that has a tenderness and heartbreak to it that will only grow richer with time.
It doesn't turn out how you want it to turn out necessarily.
No. And I think that's what makes it great.
Yeah, you're looking one way and it goes another.
Yeah, and I think I told you near the end of the movie, I had the dread of the Hollywood ending.
Yeah.
I was scared of it coming. I
thought it was coming.
Yeah, I was like, don't do it. This isn't a movie for that. It's just not.
And they didn't.
And they didn't. They do something not smart, but real, authentic.
Yeah.
It's just how life is sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
life happens.
Just doesn't work out. Doesn't mean you sucked. Doesn't mean they suck. Doesn't mean you weren't necessarily meant to be together. Sometimes it just don't work out. Some to have a relationship in Korea when the person's in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the movie goes about portraying that and the chemistry between these two people, I think it really is a truly amazing movie. And I think this is the one that you really owe it to yourself to go and see out of all these, because it's a smaller, quieter movie and it could sort of almost be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
But it should not be forgotten. I think anybody should see this movie. It's a great story of a friendship and relationship in the digital age. I think it's for people our age and a little bit younger, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think our age and a little bit. Yeah, I think if you're like 35 right now, this is your sweet spot movie. You know, you're going to identify with almost every bit of tech that they had to use in this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
I talked about that nostalgic tech. Remember when they're early in the film and looking at early Facebook and trying to message that way? You know, little things like that, I think, help hold this movie together.
Yeah, it's just a truly beautiful movie.
Yeah,
relationship.
I just don't know what I don't know how it could have been more perfect. Some part of me almost feels bad about it not being my true number one this year, but I just couldn't do it. But this really is almost like 1A for me, 1B, I guess. I mean, really, this is probably the movie that I'll think about for years to come and will be with me for an incredibly long time.
This movie brought me joy in a different way, in a way I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
My number one brings me joy in the way that I wanted.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And
so
with
that's why I went with my number one.
And with that, we will go ahead and move to the number one picks. And I do you want to go first, by chance?
Do you have before we do the number ones, do you have a honorable mention?
My honorable mention would be your number one. Yeah, because that would be the one that I feel like I didn't really get to. I also, can I take a minute? I did watch a movie that had quite a shit talking campaign against it. I watched Maestro, and it's a little bloated and it's a little bit Oscar baity, but it's an incredibly well done film. It's well shot. I think it has a great acting from Bradley Cooper. I think this is a really great film. And if you're hearing that negative talk about the movie, that it's just Oscar bait garbage, I assure you, it may be Oscar bait, but it is far from garbage. Bradley Cooper is an excellent filmmaker, and I only hope he continues to do more projects and can maybe focus his aim on maybe something a little bit smaller, pardon me. Maybe not always going for the Oscar home run.
Yeah, I wasn't enamored with it as you were.
I just wanted to mention, I think this movie would make my top 10, to be honest. But Maestro, I just wanted to have that out there, that I don't think it deserves the hate that it's getting. It's not something like House of Gucci from last year, which was almost high camp.
Yeah.
But that's the other one. I almost mentioned Ferrari, but no, it wasn't quite there. Go ahead. I
want to give a shout out to Barbie. That would be my honorable mention, because it's a great feminist movie.
Listen, when's it going to be a man's time for a movie, huh?
It's time for a woman's movie.
When's it going to be the rich white man's turn, huh? When's that going to be the way it's going to go, huh? No, Barbie, it's amazing that Barbie became a hit, and I'm glad that it did. Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach came together, and they made this movie, and it was this cultural phenomenon, along with Oppenheimer, obviously. But Barbie's what fueled this whole thing. And I couldn't be more... let me think of the proper word. It's not upset, but I guess tickled by the idea that Hollywood got the completely wrong idea from this movie.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, Barbie's a hit. And they see, like, Greta Gerwig made a movie for women.
For women.
Yeah, for women. It's aimed at women. It really is aimed at women and girls.
Women.
And Hollywood saw that and said, toy movies. That's what's good we need. Toy movies. Somebody get a Polly Pocket movie in production. And, they ran that way as hard as they could. So we're going to get, like, toy movies. And it's like, no, it wasn't the toy. It wasn't. I mean, it was Barbie, but that's because of what Barbie is. There's only one Barbie, right?
It's about women.
Yeah, like there's only one Barbie. And because of that, they hired the right person to direct the movie, Greta Gerwig. And she made a movie directed at an audience that doesn't normally get a Hollywood blockbuster aimed at them, especially in this time of the year.
And Margot Robbie finally got a hit.
Yeah, Margot Robbie got a giant hit.
Fucking hit.
Yeah, she got a hit.
She
yeah,
deserves it.
Yeah, she played Harley Quinn, and the only movie in those that hit was the worst one.
Yeah,
that was the worst one. All the other movies were failures. Even though the Suicide Squad was a weird straight to streaming COVID thing that obviously torpedoed itself. Also, why the fuck do you call the movie The Suicide Squad? Like, my dad still thinks it's just a different cut of the other movie that he didn't like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's a whole different movie, Dad. Why'd they call it The Suicide Squad? I don't work for Warner, and if I did, things would be different, all right? But yeah, because I think James Gunn just mentioned that title as a joke, and they ran with it, and he was like, all right, whatever. But they really should. If they put a 2 in there, it would have made probably $100 million at the box office. But they did not. But Robbie gets a big hit. Greta Gerwig gets the biggest film of the year, and I'm excited for what she does next.
Yeah.
And I'm almost terrified by what Hollywood's going to shove down our throat because they thought Barbie was a big movie. You ready for a Bratz reboot? Oh, God, I don't want to cover one of those. All right, with that, I will throw it to you to talk about your number one movie of the year.
You just earned yourself a detention, sir. Me with you is already one big detention. Son of a...
Alexander Payne is back, baby.
Yeah. Alexander Payne doing his thing with his favorite actor, Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, so they've reunited again since from Sideways.
Sideways.
And Sideways is a movie I absolutely love.
Yeah. I don't even like wine that much.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I think all I know about wine is from that film. Yeah. Realistically, it's why I've always wanted to drink wine and have sex with Virginia Madsen. But I love the films of Alexander Payne. And this is, like I said, 6 on my list. This was probably going to be number 5, but when you were going to make it number 1, I was like, you tell it, everybody, is your favorite film of the year. It wasn't that for me. Like, you sing its praises, and I'll talk about Spider-Man. But it is a great movie. You need to see this movie. It's on Peacock. Even if you hate Peacock, go sign up for it for the 1 month. Watch this and a couple other crappy things they have and get your money's worth. But you need to see that.
I didn't watch this on a TV or a projector. I watched this on my phone on an airplane, and I was mesmerized by it.
This is always the test, really. If you watch a movie in a less than optimal viewing environment and it grabs you.
I was in the center seat.
Yeah.
Watching this movie.
Yeah. I have a similar story of the very first time I ever tried to watch a movie this way. It was the old iPod video. Remember the iPod video?
Mm-hmm.
The iPod video was a 4x3 screen. And almost a square, really. They had to cheat it to make it 4x3. But it was 2.5 inches. It wasn't very big at all. And I had the film The Orphanage. I was like, well, I had it for free. So I downloaded it to my iPod video and I will watch it on the plane. And I stared at that 2.5 inch screen for like 2.5 hours as I watched this woman go through this horrifying adventure. And it was a flight at night. So that was perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was one of those times that, like, it didn't matter what crappy the conditions were that I watched it. The movie still captured me, and The Holdovers had that power as well. And I watched it at home and loved it.
Yeah, no, I loved every moment of it. Once again, acting's great, directing great. Paul Giamatti's awesome. I enjoyed it watching it on a plane. It's easy to digest. Mm-hmm. It's a movie I watch over and over again.
It's an instant likable film.
Yeah, it's got so much character and heart.
Yeah, if you like Alexander Payne and his movies, he delivered another one in incredible high quality. I don't know if it's his best, but it certainly is a contender. Yeah. And I think that's what's different about how we talked about some of the other filmmakers on this list who are always on top 5, top 10 lists.
Mm-hmm.
Scorsese and Nolan, those movies weren't quite up to their top tier caliber. And this is up there with the best stuff Alexander Payne has done.
Yeah.
With Election, with the other movie. Oh, Sideways. I forgot who I was for a minute there, people. It's great, too, because he bounces back after probably his weakest film, Downsizing, with Matt Damon.
Yeah, I haven't even seen it.
Yeah, I watched it once, and I was like, this is Alexander Payne? I just couldn't really believe it. Such a sort of bland film could be done. Sort of a lame science fiction movie could be done by him. It's got a few of his hallmarks there, and a little bit of the Payne magic, but it's just not there as this film just has it in spades.
He just knows characters.
He really does. He really does.
Get those relationships out of people.
This was a story that spoke to him a little bit more than I think what he was trying to do in Downsizing or some of his other projects. Even Nebraska, which I really like. I think that was a bit of a weaker effort from him, even if it still is a strong film. But this really is one of the best in his catalog. So, in the year 2023, I knew that there was a good Godzilla movie. I knew it had gotten good reviews, and the people were really digging it. But when I walked into it, I certainly didn't expect it to be the best monster movie I've ever seen. And I certainly didn't expect it to be my favorite movie of the year. And that's what I got instead. I don't know if I've ever been more surprised by a movie. And the level of craftsmanship involved in this, the idea to make a Godzilla movie this goddamn good. And that's all I told people. I said, it's not necessarily reinventing the wheel. It's just a Godzilla movie done as well as it could possibly be done.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I think this is the movie that I want to talk about as being the year's absolute stunning achievement. Because I think this was like a $20 million movie.
Was this a Japanese?
This is a Japanese film.
Okay.
This is not had to do with like
American.
Monarch and all that American stuff. So I was telling you, I was like, of all these characters who have been through the ringer over the years, Godzilla's in fantastic shape on both sides of the world. Japan has made the strongest film they've made in some time, and they've been doing good work with the character, in all honesty. And I do like the American films. I think they're not exactly all amazing, but I think they're on a high note at this moment with Monarch and Godzilla vs. Kong. It was a very good versus movie. I enjoyed it immensely. I've seen it a couple of times. It's not that bad. For a movie with versus in the title, it's good. Better than Freddy vs. Jason. So there's a lot of other versus movies. Better than X versus Ever. Okay, that's maybe not high praise. But the idea is this character's in a really good spot. And it's just something I didn't expect at all.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't expect to be glued to my seat and sort of being able to feel like what it might be like as just a person living through a Godzilla attack. You know, how horrifying that could truly be to be that small in the wake of this monster destroying the city.
Now, was this movie a limited release?
No, not really. It's a big hit.
It's a big hit?
Yeah, it's a big hit. Yeah.
So they released it. You like watch it at Cinemark or whatever?
Yeah, I think I've watched the Studio Movie Grill.
Studio Movie.
Yeah, I watched the Studio Movie Grill with a beer.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm just surprised that a Japanese movie like that with...
Well, it's just the quality of it just had to be seen. Like, you can see why they pushed it. And like I said, I expect
very surprising.
Yeah, I expected a damn good movie. I didn't expect it to be not just the high point of the genre, but just the movie. I wanted to say this is my favorite film of 2023. Just because I did not expect it to, like, it hit me in the face with its quality.
Yeah.
It knocked my socks off. I mean, I don't want to give too much away if you have not seen Godzilla Minus One.
See it.
If you have a chance, go see the black and white version. I didn't see that one, but I can see how that would work. It is, like I said, you need to go out and see Godzilla Minus One, really in any way you can. I don't know if it's still playing in some theaters out there. I know it's not streaming anywhere because we tried to see if I could get you to watch it for the show, and we couldn't find it streaming anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to be available. Probably years from now.
And we don't really pirate things or anything like that. That's not really our way.
No.
I find it to be unethical. But however, Disney Plus's rising prices do not just Disney Plus, all their rising prices do have me considering it. I think the last time I had to pirate a movie was when I needed clips from Clear and Present Danger.
Yeah,
that was the last time I pirated a movie. I was like, well, I couldn't find, there was nothing on YouTube in the movie, and I thought I had some fun clips. Like when Harrison Ford looks in the camera and goes, tits. Yeah, like, why? I don't know. It's just in the movie. I didn't make it up. It happened. So that was the last time I ever wanted to pirate. So, but that's just how it goes. Please don't pay for all these movies on the list. Maybe not Oppenheimer. Nolan's doing fine. You can steal that.
Rent these movies if you want to own them. These movies are definitely ownable.
Yeah.
Ownable. Another good adjective.
Yeah, I like that. Ownable. So if you want to go out and buy your 4K Blu-rays of these movies, please do. Support physical media. It's
going away.
It's going away, but it is a shame because there won't be a real way for collectors to really collect the film anymore. We'll just have to hope the license remains active and steady.
Yeah.
And we've seen a few cases where the licenses have not, they've lapsed, and studios have sort of pulled a license from a store for a film or for a series of movies. So it can happen. It's unfortunate. It's not the norm, but it can happen. So it's just something to look for. Something to not to really look forward to in this dystopic future of what's going to happen without some sort of physical media to protect the movies that we love, the shows we truly want to see over and over again.
Yep, I really do want to see the Godzilla movie. I like Godzilla, so I'm looking forward to seeing it whenever we can.
In the first chance we have to go check it out, we absolutely will. Because I think I checked that out. You and Maya were out of town.
Yeah.
And so I had nothing to do, so I was like, well, let me just go see Godzilla Minus One as it comes out. It came out like the weekend before. And so I just saw it on like a Tuesday afternoon, and it was weird as it was empty. I didn't have a job or anything like that. So I was like, well, I finished all my work. I said, it says 3:30. I said, I'll go out and catch it. And I did it. It just was like, like there's people here. How weird. And like I said, it was just a real amazing.
So was the theater packed or?
There was a good amount of people there, but I wouldn't say it was packed.
Okay.
So, but I did look at other screenings on opening week and was surprised that the theaters were nearly sold out. But people really want to see this movie, and I can't blame them.
Hell yeah.
Hells yeah.
I recommended it to my brother because he likes Godzilla, even though I hadn't seen it. But
Well,
I went on your recommendation because you were so high on it.
Yeah.
You were high on it way before.
Yeah, because I texted you like as I left the theater. I was like, I said Godzilla -0 just turned my brain to shit. Like, I was like, whoa. Like it kept going like, whoa, it's getting better. Whoa. Like I did not expect like it just to continue ascending like that. I don't know. When was the last time I was just that surprised by a movie? Maybe when I saw Lord of the Rings, because I thought like this will be all right. And then like, I was like, whoa, this is great. Like I just didn't, because I had never read the books before or really knew anything about it.
Yeah.
And I like Peter Jackson, but that was it. But that was another one of those movies that really knocked my socks off, just surprised the hell out of me. And I love those films today.
We need to do a rewatch. We
do. We need to watch them and then talk about The Hobbit. It's not a true reboot, but it's close enough for our purpose. We can compare and contrast the two series.
Yeah, maybe an idea for the future.
But with that, we will never talk about 2023 again. It's gone. It's dead. Forget about it.
On to 2024 movies.
That's right. On to 2024 movies. And there's already some good ones out. We got a long list of reboots that we still want to bring to you. Some other things we're going to talk about. I think we're going to do a career retrospective next week because we're going to keep it simple. We don't want to watch more movies. We watched a lot of movies this week, and we're going to have one of our bigger projects coming up. We are going to do Dracula this year, and we're going to break that up into a couple pieces. We're going to do like chapter 1 and chapter 2 and chapter 3 because it's going to be a big event.
Mm-hmm.
But we're probably going to do like 5 or 6 episodes just on Dracula.
Very well.
Not all at once, but we'll probably talk about Nosferatu, and then we'll talk about the Universal films. We're going to do a deep dive on one of the most rebooted characters in the history of reboots.
Yeah.
Because I think the show's clicking pretty well. Our research is really solid, and I think it's time to take on a really big project like that. Also, I don't want to read another Stephen King book at the moment.
I'm terrified.
Well, you're going to hate it for having to watch some of the older. Yeah, because as memorable as Todd Browning's Dracula is, as iconic as it is, it's a dull ass movie. There are a lot of scenes of people walking the window like, oh my God, look at him. He's turned to fog. No, now a wolf. Oh my. Like that's half the movie is them just pointing it out a window as we see characters telling us what Dracula's doing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. I don't know if there's a score in it. I'm trying to, it may be too early for a film score. I'd have to check. Yeah, because Frankenstein doesn't have a film score. And when you watch Bride of Frankenstein, its film score really helps. But Dracula doesn't get one, but there's a lot of great Dracula movies. And a lot of bad ones we'll talk about. Like Andy Warhol's Dracula.
Yeah.
It's mostly sex.
What about Dracula Dead and Loving It?
That one of the weaker parodies. Yeah. That's a Mel Brooks too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a misfire for Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mel Brooks would even admit that. He was like, he didn't really have the idea for it, just kind of went in. It didn't come together.
Oh, you expect Leslie Nielsen would be a hit.
Yeah. You think they're competent. And he's really good playing Dracula, but it's the rest of the movie just doesn't really work, which is a shame. But gentlemen, ladies, that is it. We will see you next week as we will continue 2024 and talking about reboots. See you guys.